Right now on NBC26 at 6, tragedy in Florida.
I heard the gunshots and I was like, oh my God, I just ran. 17
people killed in the deadliest school shooting since Sandy Hook.
Our entire nation, with one heavy heart, is praying for the victims and their families.
The alleged gunman, an expelled student.
I heard some people say that one day he would have done this, and unfortunately I think that was today.
Tonight, questions about mental health care and trying to prevent a similar tragedy from happening here.
We want to make sure that everybody is assured that we're doing everything we can to make sure the kids in Green Bay are safe.
And we say good evening to you. I'm John Erickson.
And I'm Stacey Engebretson. We have live team coverage tonight of the mass school shooting in Florida.
We are covering the story of the victims, mental health, how to talk to children, and why extra officers were at Green Bay schools today.
But first, Omar Jimenez has more on what law enforcement knew about the suspected shooter.
Are you Nicholas Jacob Cruz?
Yes, ma'am.
The suspected shooter, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, appearing in court this afternoon.
You're charged with some very serious crimes.
He's charged with 17 counts of premeditated murder and Wednesday's shooting rampage at a South Florida school. Today, there are new questions about what the FBI might have known about his troubled past and violence-related posts on social media. According to one law enforcement official, there were at least 2 threat reports that the FBI received about the alleged shooter.
The FBI received information about a comment made on a YouTube channel. The comment simply said, "I'm going to be a professional school shooter." The FBI conducted database reviews, checks, but was unable to further identify the person who actually made the comment.
Authorities continue to dig for answers.
We're not going to leave any stone unturned. We're trying to process this as quickly as we can.
But still, so many questions remain, both for investigators and for a grieving community.
I don't know how she's going to go to school every day, and she's going to have a different teacher. That's going to be a daily reminder.
The conversation turning to what to do next.
Now is the time for this country to have a real conversation on sensible gun control laws in this country.
President Trump offering condolences from the White House.
We are all joined together as one American family, and your suffering is our burden also.
And President Trump has ordered flags to fly at half-staff in honor of the victims of the shooting.
Tonight, we're learning more about those 17 victims. NBC26's Regina Ahn is live with what we know. Regina.
Stacey and John, the 17, including an athletic director, young, fresh-faced students, and a football coach. Here's a layout of the names and photos of all the victims, all 17. Now, one of the victims, a football coach, Aaron Feist, threw himself in front of students as bullets hailed down yesterday at Stoneman Douglas High School. According to the school spokeswoman, Feist died the same way he lived. He put himself second. Here's one of the students when asked on an interview with CNN how he feels the day after losing his favorite football coach.
He's definitely in a better place now. I'm glad that he didn't suffer that much. It's sad because it's not going to be the same without him at school anymore. That's for sure. Football definitely won't be the same. We're definitely going to have to band back together as brothers and mourn his loss and pick up the pieces to try to rebuild our football team.
Feist had been a football coach for more than 10 years, and today he's being hailed as a hero. Regina Ahn, NBC26.
Regina, thank you. Here in Northeast Wisconsin, a day at school looking different today after that attack.
Across Green Bay today, police officers were there as buses and parents dropped off and picked up students. NBC26's Eric Crest is live with why the district invited extra law enforcement in today.
Some in Green Bay were likely a bit alarmed when they noticed a police presence both in and outside of schools across the district today. But police say that move was intended to put students and teachers and their parents at ease. Now, on a typical day, there are just over 10 school resource officers keeping tabs on schools in Green Bay, but today, most schools throughout the city had a police presence at one point or another. Now, the chief says they were there to offer support to parents, teachers, and students, and of course, to answer questions and hear their concerns.
So to see additional police presence was not uncomfortable for the students, and in fact many of the students have relationships with our police department and our staff as well. But it gives you a sense of comfort knowing that people are watching and making sure that you're safe.
And the way they
Now, Green Bay's police chief says there was no threat to any school in town. Now, that's not why they stepped up their efforts today. He says that they just wanted to make sure that they did everything they could to make sure the kids in Green Bay were safe. Keeping you connected, I'm Eric Crest with NBC26.
Thank you, Eric. The tragedy in Florida is the country's 18th school shooting since January 1st, and it's the 273rd since the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012.
NBC26's Matt Jarko is live in Sturgeon Bay. Matt is speaking with an expert about that very disturbing number and how to try to keep it from rising even more. Matt.
That's right, John. Today, one psychologist tells us there's generally some common issues here, both in terms of mental health and disruptive behaviors leading up to a shooting like this. He says that taking action after those warning signs can often prevent these tragedies from taking place. A psychologist says there will often be an intense anger in the person and a feeling of helplessness. He also says a shooter will tend to be a loner. But the challenge is connecting those dots in advance, seeing those warning signs and reporting them to law enforcement.
Well, I think there's a higher tolerance or an acceptance of maybe things that are weird or strange or odd, that if you connect the dots after the fact, it really tells us that we have to pay attention to these warning signs and not just brush them off.
Cummings says it looks like those warning signs were visible in this Florida shooting. He pointed to the suspect's online comments and pictures with guns. Now, here in Door County, a teen is charged with making a terroristic threat after he sent a picture last November of himself with a gun. He was scheduled to appear in court today, but a judge postponed that after what happened in Florida yesterday. The teen would later tell investigators what he did was done as a joke. Reporting in Sturgeon Bay, Matt Jarko, NBC26.
So the situation in Florida affecting people here. Matt, thanks very much. And tonight, local neighbors are thinking about the victims in Florida and their families.
Many people we're talking with here in Northeast Wisconsin have young family members who are in school. They say yesterday's tragedy hits home. NBC26's Mo Hyder is live in downtown Green Bay tonight with community reaction. Mo?
Yeah, John and Stacey, more than 1,000 miles separates Parkland, Florida from Northeast Wisconsin, and tonight the community says their hearts are with the victims and their families. And yesterday when people heard about the shooting, some say they immediately thought of their own loved ones. They say they have a child, niece or nephew who is currently in school, and when a mass shooting happens, they start to worry about their safety.
I was just sick about it, that we're allowing this and all we're being too, like it's not a big thing.
It was just terrible. It was terrible. Nothing you want to see.
And some people we spoke with say they want to see more action when it comes to gun control, whereas some others say guns are not the issue. In downtown Green Bay tonight, Mo Hyder reporting for NBC26.
So Mo talking with adults tonight, but after hearing about the shooting in Florida, a question many parents might have is, how do you talk to children about it?
NBC26's Cassandra Duval joins us now live in the newsroom with information that can help you. Cassandra?
Stacey and John, health experts with NBC News say it is important to talk to your children. Don't just ignore what's going on in the world. Here are some tips when you do have those conversations with your children. Let them take the lead. Ask them what their questions are before giving your own opinion. Encourage your kids to feel their feelings. Try not to suppress how they're reacting. And don't make promises you can't keep. Instead, assure them. And that one seems to be troubling for parents when part of their job is making their kids feel safe.
How a parent or a family support system responds to a tragedy dictates the level of mental health concern, or we call it resilience, that kids have. So the more supportive or better the response is, the more resilient the child's going to be.
For parents, make sure you have your own support system and work through your own anxieties before speaking with children. Health experts say the most important thing you can do is what you're already doing, loving your kids and starting these difficult conversations with them. Live in the newsroom, Cassandra Duval, NBC26.
Good advice. Just start with the love, Cassandra. Thank you. And for anyone who would like to help the victims and the families of the victims of the Florida school shooting, there is an option online. So far, the GoFundMe has raised more than $400,000. The Broward Education Foundation has a link to the fundraiser on their website. The site says the money will go to help victims and families of the victims. We also have a link to that GoFundMe on our website, NBC26.com.
And also on our website, you can find all the latest updates and information about the tragedy in Florida. You can download our NBC26 mobile app as well. Well, coming up, preparing for trial.
It's another key ruling in court today ahead of George Birch's trial, which starts tomorrow.
You're connected to NBC 26 News at 6 with Stacey Engebretson, John Erickson, Chief Meteorologist Cameron Moreland, and Sports Director Charlie Sakaitis. NBC 26 News at 6, keeping you connected.